Start early.
Vote on that.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. And we have a new secretary tonight. Ms. Warwick, will you please take roll? Okay. Ms. Fenton, could you please take roll?
Present.
Here. Present. Here.
Here.
Here. So there are 6 members present, so 5 votes are required. The board is authorized to grant or deny a variance by Part 3, Section 60 of the Englewood City Charter. Anyone aggrieved by a decision rendered by this board may appeal that decision to a court of record. However, such appeal must be made within 30 days of the board's decision. The variance is effective at the end of the appeal period. Building permits for construction associated with an approved variance will not be issued until the appeal period is ended. Building permits must be obtained and construction begin within 180 days of the effective date. Procedure for the meeting is the case will be introduced by staff with an overview. Applicants will present their request and reasons the variance should be granted. Proponents will be given an opportunity to speak. Opponents will address the board, and then staff will readdress the board if needed. The public hearing for case number VAR2017-014 Barbara Drake at 3940 South Pennsylvania Street is now open. The applicant is requesting a variance to reduce the rear setback from 20 feet to 6 feet. This is a variance to table 16-6-1.1, summary of dimensional requirements for principal structures of the Unified Development Code.
Oh, sorry.
I have publication of the posting. Staff, are you ready? Let's do this.
Do they have to open the public hearing?
I did.
Oh, you did. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's open.
I do. Kirk from Community Development. Good evening. Before you tonight is variance case VAR 2017-014. The applicant is requesting a variance to reduce the rear setback from 20 feet to 6 feet. This is a variance to table 16-6-1.1 of the summary of dimensional requirements. The subject property is located at 3940 South Pennsylvania Street. This property and all surrounding properties are zoned R1C, so single family on a small lot. And this is the subject property right here. It's very loud today. It is unclear due to records when the original structure was built. County records have the structure being built in 1961. However, the building file records have a permit for an addition that was done in 1950. The building file records also show that an attached garage was converted into livable space and a carport was added in 1957. We are assuming that this is the current carport that we are questioning tonight. In 1955, the zoning ordinance required a 3-foot rear setback for a detached garage and an attached garage, whereas the Unified Development Code from 2004 requires a 6-foot rear setback for front-load garages that are detached and a 20-foot rear setback for attached garages. The 20-foot rear setback is required because once the garage is attached to the house, it becomes part of the principal structure, and a principal structure has a rear setback of 20 feet. Although the attached carport was approved in 1957 with the 3-foot rear setback, by today's code, a 20-foot rear setback would be required to connect the carport to the existing principal structure. Currently, the carport is at 6 foot 8.5 inches from the rear property line, and the applicant is asking for a minimum rear setback to convert the carport into a garage. Are there any questions for me?
I just saw in the posting it said 6.7 rather than 6.
I'm sorry, it said in the posting what?
Yep, here at the notice of hearing, it says reduce the required 20-foot rear setback to 6.7 feet. And we're asking for a variance for 6.
6. That is correct. You know, I did have them put, and it is at 6'7" right now, and so I do apologize that the structure is not technically. The structure is at 6.7 feet right now. Okay. In my staff report, I asked for 6 foot minimum, only because, and this is my thing, I don't know what's involved in enclosing a garage, how much distance they're going to need for garage doors, and I mean, if they're going to need any wiggle room there. So that was my I did ask them to put that on there with 6'7", and in my staff report I did ask for a little bit of wiggle room.
Okay. I have a question.
Of course.
And this is I probably could have figured this out, but I didn't put that much time into it. And as you know, I'm not the sharpest tool on the turnip truck. But if you have a rear house like this, what would stop you from putting a detached garage like in the very front?
Oh, I don't think anything would. You would still have a minimum front setback of 25 feet. However, this carport was existing. But you could definitely put a detached garage in the front in front of the house.
Even though it's way in front of the house?
As long as it is behind the front setback for principal structure of 25 feet.
I know it would look weird, but that's...
It would look a bit weird.
There are some.
There are. You're correct. There are a few.
Does anyone else have a question for staff right now? All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Will the applicant please come forward to testify in the case? And please state your name and address to the secretary who will administer the oath.
I do. My name is Gary Gable. I'm at 6538 Vivian Street, Arvada, Colorado, 80004. And I'm here tonight to represent Barbara Drake. I'm a professional land surveyor in Colorado, and she asked me, we're really good friends, and she asked me to assist in all this.
Okay. So if you could just briefly, I guess, go over what she's asking for and her reasoning for asking for it.
Okay, the reason for this is an alley house. It was apparently, it's right here, and it was built, we're guessing, in the early 50s or late 40s. It's kind of unknown at this point. Just by the appearance of the house, I would guess it's 1940 vintage somewhat. And it does have an attached carport to it. And her intent is to just enclose the existing carport as it is, and to have basically a one-car garage. It's wide enough to do two, but with the turning radius of a vehicle, that would be kind of hard. We want to put in a little extra wide door, so somebody else buys it. If they had a longer truck, they could easily pull in. I did the measurements, that drawing that you saw in the packet here that showed the 6.7. This one right here. That looks familiar.
Oh, yep.
This is a sketch that I made. I'm not really quite sure I can't attest to where the property lines are, but being a surveyor, apparently the fences are the right-of-way of the alley, because there's 16-foot separation between the fences, and it's a 16-foot alley. So I assume that they're close. And the fence to the south, the adjourn to the south, there's a wood fence, and I assume that's close to the property line, but I have not done a survey. But I measured 6.7 feet back from what appears to be the alley right away to the fascia on this existing carport. And looking down, there's some other pictures in here. Let me find them here. Her house is this red-sided structure here, and here's the carport. The house to the north over here, that's a detached garage, and the entry opens to the alley. And just looking down the fascia of this carport, they line up. It appears to be about the same setback, more or less. And then this is looking to the south. And that structure appears to be right on the right-of-way line of the alley, but the entrance to this garage is around on the side. It's on the south side, so you pull in and then turn into the garage. And this is the looking right at the carport as it is today. And the reason she'd like to do this is for security more than anything. She moved in early part of May of this year, and within a week of being here, somebody drove down the alley in the middle of the night and shattered her rear window of her car with a rock. And there is a police report on file with the city of Englewood to that effect. And right now, the whole house is open to the public. She has a fence across the yard behind the house, and then the intent is to enclose this and totally secure the property. Right now, somebody can come in off the alley and walk right up. The front door is kind of around to the side through that fence right there.
Right.
So it's for security plus to secure a car and keep it out of the weather.
Okay.
Is the reasoning. And this is looking down south down the alley, and you can see apparently that garage to the south is right on the property line, or the right-of-way line. And this is the side setback. That's the adjoining fence to the south. And I measured that to the fence of being 4 feet, so I'm assuming it's close to property line.
Okay.
More or less. And this is looking north. Here's the fascia of her carport, and that building right there, that's the garage to the north. And it's close to being the same setback.
So virtually, the fascia of the carport is going to remain the same.
Yeah, it's going to be the same. It just is, and I know the reason the city here mentioned, would give us extra 7/10 of a foot is because what's going to happen when you enclose this. And the intent is to make this look like the rest of the house with the siding, so we want it to look nice and conform with the rest of the neighborhood. So
Right.
we plan on cladding it the same way as the rest of the house is.
So I just have one. So virtually, in the statement, due to the position of the existing home, it's physically impossible to construct a detached garage on this lot. That actually should be a detached garage that uses the alley as an entranceway.
Right.
Okay. Does the board have any questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Are there any persons present who wish to speak in favor of this request? There is no one. Are there any persons present who wish to speak in opposition of this request? There is nobody. Staff, do you have any other additional comments?
I would just like to add that on the page that he showed, the one that he pointed out with all the red line drawings, they had submitted for a building permit, and that's the comments from Kirk, the applicant plan examiner, and so that's what all of this is on here. So that's how they came to find out they were going to need a variance. But I just wanted to point out that that's what all the red line drawings were from.
Okay. Are there any additional questions for staff? All right. The public hearing is now closed. And I need a motion.
I'll move that case VAR 2017-014 at 3940 South Pennsylvania Street be granted a variance to reduce the rear setback from 20 feet to 6 feet.
Second. Second. I did.
All right. Discussion?
Just the question I'd have would be on that 6.7 versus the 6, and since it was posted that way, whether we can approve it at 6 or not, that's kind of a legal question.
I think you can. I don't. I mean, if you've got the .7 is inches. So I understand that, they did that to accommodate a door or something of that nature. I feel that the notice is giving the public, the notice provides the public with the information that this board is looking at. Even though it may say 6.7, I don't think that's enough to deny the variance or say that the posting is wrong.
So,
Makes sense to me.
are you saying in your legal opinion, this would be packed if it was actually just 6 inches?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and in the past, we've also massaged requests. So even if they're
Well, you
requesting,
can approve it with a condition.
yeah. So I think that what staff is requesting, 6 feet, makes sense. Anyone else?
In general, it just makes sense to me. It's an existing condition that you've got to live with, and it's not different from much of what else is happening out there,
Right.
except for it's attached, so.
And if you drive up and down the alley, there's more than just those few homes that all have.
Right. And I think it makes sense to enclose the carport
Yeah.
rather than building a garage in the front of the house where then you'd have to put a driveway in.
Yeah.
You have an alley, which is something that not everyone has, so I think it's nice to be able to use it. So to me, I think it makes sense.
And the position of the house on the lot is a somewhat unique condition. I mean, I know there are other cases, but it's definitely not the norm.
True. Anyone else? All right, shall we vote?
I voted yes. I feel all the criteria are met with regard to unique physical conditions, as was discussed, the placement of the house on the lot and the carport pre-existing in the rear make it so that the normal setback for a attached garage, just there's no room for it, and to require the garage to be in the front is beyond the expectation that we would have of the applicant when there would have to be an added driveway. So that all of those conditions deprive the applicant of the privileges enjoyed by other properties in the vicinity. It's consistent with the intent of the zone district. With regard to public health, safety, and welfare, there were no issues with that. It will not permanently impair the use or development of adjacent conforming properties. Several other properties along the same alley have garages coming to about the same point, and won't alter the essential character of the neighborhood, and it's not a self-imposed difficulty or hardship.
I voted yes for the reasons stated, so eloquent.
I voted yes for the reasons stated.
I voted yes for the reasons stated.
I voted yes for the same reasons.
I also voted yes for the reasons stated. All right. So we'll do the approval of the minutes. And this is case August 9th. I'm just making sure. Yep. So it's case VAR 2017-014, the minutes from August 9th. I have one comment. And that's, I just wanted to make sure. So on the minutes at the board members absent, we have Mr. Rieger listed at the top. And then at the bottom, he is not listed as absent. So I don't know if that's something. I just have, yeah. Yep, on the front page. Correct. And then under the decision, correct, moved by Taylor and Friesen. Absent, there's none. I'm looking at the wrong minutes. Correct. So, yeah, so at the very, can I come over and show you?
Yeah, I think I see it.
You want to see us argue about?
All right. So that's my blonde moment for the evening.
Was the case number, did a number get left off the case number on that one? Under public hearing, it says VAR 2017-014. I don't remember the case number, but that doesn't seem right.
I didn't bring that with me either.
Isn't it 012? Are we looking at it?
Yeah, it should be 012.
Yep. So that's the under number 2, public hearing. Okay. Any other comments? All right. I need a motion.
Oh, I move to approve these minutes with the correction of the case number on the first page.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Everyone that votes to approve the minutes say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, the ayes have it. The minutes have been accepted. Approval of finding of fact. And I just had the one little screw up that I did earlier on the finding of fact. It's the yeah, and I don't, like I said, since he's an alternate, I don't know if it's important or not. I just noticed that. So I need a motion to approve the finding of fact from August 9th.
So moved.
All right. Everyone that votes to approve it, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone that votes not to approve it, say aye. The ayes have it. So it's been finding of facts for August 9th have been approved. Staff.
There will be a variance case next month. Kirk will be turning it forward to you, and
Popular topic.
Oh, interesting. A setback. I have a attorney.
Nothing this evening?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Board. Anyone? I have one comment, and it's a blonde question again. So I was trying to find the Unified Development Code, and it's under a zoning page, but I didn't know if maybe also it should be, a link should be on the building department page.
sure.
Just something maybe to mention to them. I mean, to me it seemed, I had a hard time finding it.
I believe Nancy has something to say about that.
Uh-oh. No, you tell me. If you want it on the building page. Yeah, I think it would, I mean, also on the building page. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I just think it might help some of the people rather than not finding it. Maybe they'll find it easier this way.
It's hard to find, too. Our website's just a little bit.
Personally, I love the person that's running it. I think it's a great website.
Oh, is it? Oh.
Fancy. All right. So if no one has anything else, the meeting's adjourned. Do we have to vote on it?
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor, go away.